continuing to talk about Iraq, I mean, I'm sure you have a history in some way or another with Central America and back to the 80s. Now, you know, in some ways it was a lot easier to be connected because of geographical proximity, because of the religious perspectives, the language, everything was easier being involved with Central America, where the issues were just as strong as any are happening, you know, in the Middle East, but there's so much of a distance, language, social and religious barriers. And how do you see these different two worlds in the involvement there?
Well, what's so interesting, and in fact, interesting that you would ask that question, because just now over coffee I was speaking with someone I haven't seen for some years, Leslie, and I was saying how much easier it is in the Middle East to talk about God, for instance, because it is part of, God is part of people's lives, whether it's Ramadan, whether they're Christians. So it's very easy, and it's inevitable that you can talk about that right away and easily, and how our traditions share so much. I mean, in the Quran it says if you kill one person, you kill all of humanity. If you save one person, you save all of humanity. You know, it's our scriptures say don't kill. You know. Anyway, I often thought when I was in Iraq that our Muslim brothers and sisters could teach us what peace is, because they live it, even in the greeting, peace be with you. You know, you say it so many times a day, peace be with you. And so I think it's horrifying how things have, what has been unleashed in terms of, in this myth, this war on terror. How we've demonized the whole Islamic world and our Muslim brothers and sisters is a tragedy that's beyond words.
So we're going to shift gears quite a bit, and still somewhat connected to that, but we have obviously a new administration that is in some degrees different than the previous one, needless to say. But how do you see that being a part of the problem or the solution, or both?
Well, oh gosh, I don't know that I can really answer that. I mean, people were very interested in the Middle East. They asked me, how is it in the United States with Obama?
Yeah.
And how is it in the United States? You know, there's an awful lot of anti-American sentiment. It's just growing, at least in Syria and in Jordan. And my answer to that, I sort of whittled it down to a simplistic answer, and I said, when I walk the streets of my neighborhood in New York City, every second person coming toward me either has the iPod or a cell phone. But they're in another world. They're not present. They're not looking at me or the people around them. They're somewhere else. And I find that deeply disturbing. And the other thing is, shortly before this last trip to the Middle East, I listened to the radio. I heard a snippet from President Obama, and he said, go out and buy a car and stimulate the economy. Get the economy and stimulate. He didn't say, if you need a car, go out and buy a car. So those were sort of like when people ask me my impression, or how things are in the United States under Obama. People in the Middle East understand what's going on. I think it's we in the United States who don't understand. We're somewhere else, and that's very tragic. So we're not a reflective country. So I think that's where we need to help each other.
Great. That's a great way to closing. Thank you so much.